Hello and welcome to this lace along for the March bookmark, and I just wanted to go through a couple of things before we started. And the first thing is to look at the pricking. So the way this one is worked is that you only have 11 pairs and you work down this side, along here, back up this side, and then back along this bit to join in the start. So that means that you have a whole row of pins in the middle, these purpley pink ones, where you are just literally going to take a pair around the pin at the start to make a big loop, and then when you come back round you'll sew into that loop, which will be the easiest sewing you'll ever do in your life because the loop's so big. It's lovely and I really like doing this method. The other thing that I'm going to do is we've got 7 spiders down here, so I'm going to show you 3 different spiders. The first one is your regular spider, and then the next one will be your regular spider but that worked in half stitch. So your regular spider is worked in cross stitch, the next one will be worked in half stitch, and then this third one will then be worked as a haloed spider. So I will then do a regular one and then repeat haloed, half stitch, and then a regular again. You don't have to do this, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity to show you how you can alter your spiders. They're all the same pricking, but they're just worked slightly differently from each other, and you'll see that they'll create a completely different design. And it's a way that you can change your lace designs regardless of what the original looked like, so it then becomes more your design rather than just copying something that I've done. I'm going to start this lace at the green pin, and I'm going to start by putting a pin in the green pinhole and hanging my worker pair on that pin. So this is my worker pair. Now when I hang 2 pairs, because this is a green pin, it has 2 pairs on it. Normally I would hang them open, one around the other, like that. But if I then close that with a cross stitch and a twist, which is what I'm going to be doing on this outside pair because I've got a cross stitch and twist edge, you'll notice that my red workers are split. So what I need to do is I need to put this outside pair in a position so that when I close the pin, the workers are on the right. So I'm going to put 1 bobbin here and 1 bobbin in the middle. And then I'm going to put 2 twists on to lock those threads together, because then my reds are back where they were. If I was only to do 1, they would end up on the left. So I want to do 2 to make sure they're in the right place. And then I'm going to close this pin with a half stitch. And you will see that my 2 workers are back together and ready to come across to this pin on the right to take in my new pair. Don't worry that it's only a half stitch, because this edge is worked as a cross stitch and twist, so having a twist on both pairs is what you need anyway, and it's not going to show that it's only a half stitch. I'm going to put my support pin in the middle of my fan, because that way I've got my support pin close to my pins that I need it, and I know that there will never be I say that, but generally there is not a pinhole in the middle of a fan, so I'm okay with putting my support pin there. That pinhole shouldn't confuse me when I get to do that fan. So I'm going to hang a new passive on that pinhole, on that support pin, and I'm going to work a cross stitch through with my worker, twist my worker twice, and then I'm going to pin up in the first red pinhole. So there's my cross stitch, my worker is there, and I'm going to close that with a cross stitch. Now because I'm working a cross stitch and twist edge, I need to have a twist on this worker to push the threads from this edge pair and this passive pair apart. And because I've only done a cross stitch, I don't have that twist. So I'll always put a twist on my worker as it works out towards my outside edge pair. So now I'm going to do my cross stitch and twist both pairs, twist on both, and then an extra twist on the worker, so that then I have my 2 twists going around my pin. So then I'm going to cross stitch and twist back. Now I don't need to worry about that twist on this worker pair because it's been done as part of the stitch. So then I can cross stitch through my passive, take out my support pin, use the pin to control the threads going down so they don't catch on any other pairs or pins, and then I can put a new pair on and cross stitch through. 2 twists because I'm at the end of my row, pin up, and then cross stitch back through 2 pairs. So this is the point where I need to put my twist on my worker because I need that little hole. So I've put my twist on the worker and then cross stitch and twist, extra twist on the edge. Now I always do 2 twists around my pins because you will always notice if you haven't got any, because you'll end up with 2 loops that just sit on top of one another, and you actually want those threads to be joined, which is why you put a twist on. And I don't feel 1 twist is enough to go around a pin, so I generally do 2, but I know that various teachers say differently, but that's how I always work. So now I'm going to cross stitch through my 2 passives. So I did my cross stitch and twist on my edge pair. I'm going to then take out my support pin, and I do tend to use a berry pin because it's big and I can see it, and you're more likely to remember to remove it. If you don't remove this, then you end up with a loop when you come to sew in at the end, and it's not great. So then cross stitch through, 2 twists on my worker, both ends, because then I get into the habit of doing 2 twists and I know I've done them. Cross stitch back through 3, twist your worker pair for our cross stitch and twist, and then cross stitch and twist an extra twist on the edge. So cross stitch and twist back, cross stitch through 3. Now you'll notice that I'm not actually doing much tensioning up on my pairs because they actually get tensioned when I start working through them, because you are unintentionally pulling your threads and moving them around, and that is enough to tension up. I will do some tensioning when I come to do my spiders, but generally with this sort of lace I don't. I just let it tension up naturally. I will tension up this outside edge because it is slightly thicker, and I've got 2 strands of thread because it was a pair left over from the angel. So I'm on my last pin, so there's my new pair, cross stitch through, twist twice, pin up, cross stitch back, put your twist on your worker pair and cross stitch and twist through, extra twist on the edge, pin up. So now I'm going to cross stitch and twist back through, and this time I'm not going to work that end pair because I've reached the widest point of my fan. So instead I'm going to just take it off my support pin, and I'm going to leave it out, and I'm going to put a twist on it, and I can now ignore it. 2 twists on my worker pair, pin up, and back off I go again to the other side. So put a twist on, cross stitch and twist. Now I generally will work all of my fan before doing anything else, because then I know that all my pairs are coming out in the right position and everything is all good. present and correct, as they say. So 2 twists, pin up, cross stitch back, twist your worker, cross stitch and twist, extra twist on that edge, pin up, cross stitch and twist, cross stitch through this passive. This one's being left out, so I can put a twist on that and then pin up and cross stitch through that last passive, cross stitch and twist, extra twist, pin up, cross stitch and twist, and this one here gets a twist, and all my pairs are now ready to go into my spider. And they've all got a twist on it, so, and they're all coming out at the correct point. So now I just need to come and add in the new pairs here. I'm now going to start adding the pairs that will come down here. So I'm going to add this one first. So I'm just going to move my support pin to this fan here, and I'm going to add a pair. Now before I was working on the fan, they were coming into the work in cross stitch, so I didn't bother putting a twist on, but I'm now going to be doing a half stitch, so I am going to put a twist on. I'm just going to try and sort out this unruly bobbin. Right, okay, so I'm putting a twist on, and I'm going to add this pair into this pin here. So now I'm going to start my ground stitches. Now it's up to you as to what stitch you use for your ground stitch. I'm going to be using half stitch, pin, half stitch. And you have a choice at this point as to which direction you're going to go. Now you could either go down here and finish adding all your pairs in, but I'm going to go down this way so that I can get those pairs in, so that side of my spider is ready to go. So I'm just working half stitch, pin, half stitch all the way down until I reach the last pair. I've now reached the last pin that I need to work, and my worker pair from the fan is the pair that's going to make this last pin with this passive. So my worker pair is a wooden one and this Easter chick one. Now if I was to do a half stitch, so let me show you, and pin up and close with a half stitch, you'll see that my worker pair is disappearing off into this work, into the passives, and this pair becomes my new worker. Well, that's okay, because that's one way of alternating. If you haven't put a lot of thread on your bobbins, that's one way of alternating your worker pair so you don't run out of thread. However, if you've put a lot on your worker pair and you want to keep it the same, what you will need to do is to work a cross stitch and twist both pairs, then pin up and close that with a cross stitch and twist, and you'll see that the wooden and the Easter chick are both back over as the workers for the fan, and you can carry on. So the next point I need to do is to go back up to the top and add in all these pairs down here. I'm now going to continue adding my pairs down here, which will take me to all of my pairs being added. So I have 11 pairs. So I've just done a half stitch, hung a new pair on my support pin, twisted it, and half stitch, pin, half stitch. Take that out, and then a new pair, put a twist on, half stitch, pin up, and close with a half stitch. So I've got 2 more pairs to add. I've now added all of my pairs, and I've reached the center of my bookmark where I have a series of them, or I have the series of pink purpley pinholes in the middle. Now I'm not going to worry about that pinhole for the moment, because I don't tend to work this pinhole until I actually need it, and I don't need it until I get to this line here, which is 2 rows after my spider. So the first point of call now is to do my spider. So I have 2, 3 left-hand pairs, 1, 2, 3 right-hand pairs. So I'm dealing with a 6-legged spider. So there's my 3 there for my left, and there's my 3 there for my right. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is just going to be a regular spider in in cloth stitch. So the first thing I need to do is put my legs on. So I'm going to make sure I have at least 3 twists. So I've already got 1, so all of my pairs need 2 more twists. So I'm just going to put those on, and then I can start adding or start making the body. Now what is going to happen is that these 3 here on the left are going to go through those 3 on the right, and it always starts from the center for this regular spider. So I've got the center left hand pair, and I'm going to cloth stitch through 1, 2, 3 pairs to the right, and I'm going to go back and retrieve my second left hand pair. Now if you're not sure what one that is, you can ignore this pair that you've just worked and count back 1, 2, 3, and it brings you to this pair. So I'm just going to cross stitch through 2, 3 pairs, leave that pair there, so you can see that my pairs are coming through each other in the order they were originally. So this was my first pair, this is my second. I don't work that pair through that pair because it's just going through 3. 1, 2, 3 back brings me to my last pair on the left, and I'm just going to cross stitch through 3 pairs. So all they've done is they've literally just swapped places. So there's my crossing over, you can see here, which you can see works because there's my 3 right, which were my original right hands, and those are my 3 which were originally on the left. I'm going to take a pin and pin up. Now this is one of the points where I do tension up because I want to make sure that all of the twists are neat on these legs. So I am going to tension this up because by the time you get to the bottom of your spider, there's going to be so many cloth stitches and twists in the way that you would never pull up your legs at the start. So I always make sure that I've taken all the loops off of these legs here, so you can see I've got 6 nice shaped legs. So now I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to take my 3 on the left through my 3 on the right. So it always starts with this particular spider, you always start with the middle one on the left, which is this pair here, and I'm just going to cross stitch through 3 and then stop. And now this is the point where it can get a little bit confusing, and you might want to use this technique of counting back. So that's the one that's just come through. 1, 2, 3. So it's gone through those 3. So that means that this is the next pair that needs to go through. So I'm taking it through in cloth stitch 3 pairs. So there's my first pair, there's my second. I'm going to count back 1, 2, 3, and here's my third. So through 1, 2, 3. So that is all my pairs back in the order that they were originally, and I've completed my spider, or the spider's body. Now this is the point where a lot of people will forget, but you need to make sure that your spider has his front legs and he has his back legs. So I'm going to put 3 twists on all my pairs, which are my bottom legs. 1, 2, 3. And now I need to finish off my spider. And now I always think of this as a spider in a box because you've got a series of pins here and it puts your spider in a box. So I'm just going to take this one here and I'm just going to do half stitch, pin up, and close with a half stitch. So that's one leg. Half stitch, pin, half stitch for the second leg. there's the second, half stitch, pin, half stitch for the third, and I can't go any further because I haven't taken these pairs in on this side. I can't do this pin because the rule of torsion is you work from your highest point. This pin here is your highest point, and in order to work that one I have to have worked that pin, and that pin, because I'm always going downhill. I can't work that one and then back up. It won't work. So in order to do that, I need to take this pair here, which I've got ready, half stitch, pin up, close with a half stitch, pin up, close with a half stitch, and then I'm going to do the last leg now. And then before I do anything else, let me just grab that pin. Okay, so that's all my legs in, and I'm not going to do that bottom pin for a minute because I'm going to just give all my legs a tension up, because you are dealing with a lot of twists, and if you do it now you'll be able to tension those twists up. If you were to leave it and you found a great big loop, you would need to undo it a little way back to be able to release enough of the thread to then release that loop. So I always do tension my legs, and it is one of the very few times I will actually tension up my lace. The rest of it gets done as I'm working it. So now I've got my 2 pairs to work this last pin. So I'm going to do half stitch, pin, half stitch. Now at this point, let me just move my cover cloth down a little way. At this point here, you have a choice as to which piece you do next, because your fan, you have all the pairs for this fan, but I'm going to leave that for a minute because we've completed a fan and you know how to do it. What I want to look at now is this inside here, because we have some pins here that we can also do because they're both the highest point. So we can either do the fan or you can come and do these inside pins here. Now this pair here would logically go to this pin here because everything's following its straight diagonal line, but I don't have a pair to work it because this pair here, if it was to follow its diagonal line, would carry on down here. But we don't want to do that because we're only working half of this bookmark. We're only working on this half. We're ignoring this half. Instead, what I'm going to do is create a very nice large little loop. Large little loop, can you have a large little loop? But I'm going to create a large loop that you will later sew into. So at the moment I have 1 twist on my pair. I'm going to put another twist on. I'm then going to take my pin and I'm going to put it in my purpley pink coloured pinhole to the left of this pair. So this pair is on the right going around my pin. I'm going to open my pair up like that to tension up and push those 2 twists that I did originally behind this pin. I'm then going to put 2 more twists on, and that is that pin worked. It is done, finished with. So I now have this pair here going in this direction and this pair here going in this direction because we swung it around the pin. So I'm going to do my half stitch, pin, close that with a half stitch, and you can now see the lovely big loop that we've got to sew into on the way back down. So now I now have all the pairs to continue down this line. Now it doesn't matter, sometimes some people work to the left and some people work to the right. This is your own preference. I tend to get this row in to secure that loop because I never work that loop until I'm ready to make the next row. I just leave it until I'm ready for it, because if you put the pin in and then you're carrying your lace to a lace day or a lace class, the chances are that pin is not secure and those threads will jump off. So I only put it in when I need it for the next row. So the next row, this pair goes here, and this pair would normally carry on down the line, but we're at a pinky purple colour pinhole, so I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the previous one. I'm going to put an extra twist on, put my pin in my pinky purpley coloured hole. Oh, move my support pin out of the way. Open up my pairs to move. What you're doing is moving those twists behind the pin. Put 2 more on, and it's now ready to swing round down to the next row. And it's now created my second big loop. So I can now finish that row. Down here. And I've reached as far as I can on that bit, so I'm back up to here. So again, I've got my last pair, and I've got another pinky purple pinhole. I should really have got a better colour, but I'm going to put one twist on that pair, pin up to the left, open my pair up to push those twists round, 2 more twists, and then I'm ready for the next pin. It's going to feel really bizarre because you're not actually closing that pinhole, and you're not even working a stitch really. You're just creating a lovely big loop. And if you've made any of my angels, you'll recognize this is a technique that's used around the neck. So that's that row done. So I'm on to my next row. So I'm going to do this next row because I have actually got this pin here to anchor it. So let's do, I've got 1, 2 twists, pin to the left, open up, 2 more twists, and then my half stitch, pin, half stitch. So now you can see we have this lovely row of big loops, which will make your sewing in when you come back round a real breeze. Now this is the pinhole that I was saying I never work until I'm ready to come down here, because if I'd have put that pin in, and I'll show you, if I put the pin in, I know I haven't put the twists on, but if I put that pin in, that pair is just loose, hanging. So you don't want to put that pin in until you're ready to use it, because the chances are your pair is going to drop off the pin, and it's not worth putting it in until you're ready to actually use it. So that's all of how you work the inside. I'm going to go off and do my fan, and I will be back to show you a half stitch spider.